If you want to understand why the ground is shifting beneath your feet right now, don't look at the White House press briefing room, and certainly don't look at the angry tweets flying out of Florida at 3 in the morning. Instead, I want you to look at the dirt. Look at the dirt in Tennessee that was supposed to be a $7 billion battery plant, and then look at the dirt in Ontario, Canada, where that plant is actually going to be built. This isn't just a factory moving. This is a geopolitical earthquake. For 3 years, Donald Trump has told you that he is the protector of American industry. He told you that tariffs were a magic wand. He told you that if he threatened the world enough, the world would bend the knee and bring the jobs back. Well, the world just called his bluff. Volkswagen, the second largest automaker on the planet, just looked at Donald Trump's America, and then they looked at Mark Carney's Canada, and they made a choice that is going to haunt the Republican Party for a decade. They didn't choose the loud threats. They chose the quiet stability. While Trump was busy threatening a 25% tax on everything that crosses the border, Mark Carney was busy signing the paperwork on the biggest industrial theft of the 21st century. Carney didn't scream. He didn't threaten trade wars. He simply opened the door when Trump slammed his shut. And now thousands of high-paying manufacturing jobs that were promised to American workers, are heading north. In the next few minutes, I'm going to take you inside the room where this deal happened. I'm going to show you the leaked memos that prove U.S. CEOs are terrified of their own president. I'm going to show you why Mark Carney is playing a completely different game while Trump is flipping over the board. And I'm going to explain why this isn't just about cars. It's about your money. It's about the price of everything you buy. You are watching history pivot, and you are watching it happen in real time. Let's strip away the noise and look at exactly what happened. At 8 a.m. this morning, Volkswagen released a press statement that was only 3 paragraphs long, but it hit Washington like a tactical weapon. For months, the plan was locked in. Volkswagen was going to expand their footprint in the American South. It was a done deal. Tax incentives were ready. It was supposed to be the crown jewel of Trump's reindustrialization promise. But then came the tariffs. 2 weeks ago, Donald Trump announced via Truth Social that he was considering a blanket 25% tariff on all imported vehicle components. He called it leverage. He said he was squeezing them. He squeezed them. All right, he squeezed them right out of the country. This morning, Volkswagen announced they are scrapping the U.S. expansion plans immediately. Instead, they are breaking ground on a massive $7 billion gigafactory in Ontario, Canada. The press release was polite, but if you read between the lines, it was savage. They cited predictability and strategic stability. That is corporate speak for saying they cannot build a factory in a country run by a guy who wakes up and changes the laws based on his mood. And here is the kicker. Mark Carney, the key figure in Canada's strategy, didn't just catch this rebound by luck. He orchestrated it. Sources inside Ottawa are reporting that Carney has been back-channeling with German industrial leaders for months. While Trump was on stage at rallies shouting about walls, Carney, the former central banker, was on the phone offering sanity. He told them to come to Canada because they follow the rules. He reminded them that Canada has access to the U.S. market through the USMCA trade deal, and they have a government that doesn't govern by tweet. And it worked. This is a humiliation for the Trump White House. You have to understand the scale of this. This is the industrial equivalent of a marriage proposal being rejected at the altar on live TV. Trump promised that tariffs would force companies to build in America. The theory was, if you want to sell here, you have to build here. But Volkswagen just proved that theory wrong. They decided that building in America under Trump is simply too risky. They would rather build in Canada, a country that respects the rule of law, and take their chances shipping the cars south rather than risk having their supply chains held hostage. So who did what? Trump threatened. Carney listened. Volkswagen moved. And the American worker got left holding the bag. We don't do speculation here. We do evidence. Let's look at the receipts that prove this wasn't an accident. First, let's look at the tariff draft. 3 weeks ago, a draft executive order leaked from the Oval Office. It detailed a plan to revoke foreign trade zone status for European automakers operating in the South if their home countries didn't lower their own tariffs on American corn and beef. Think about that. Trump was threatening to tax the parts Volkswagen needs to build cars in Tennessee in order to sell more beef to Berlin. It is clumsy. And for a company like VW, which relies on a global supply chain where parts cross borders 5 or 6 times before a car is finished, that threat is poison. You cannot invest $7 billion in a factory if you don't know the price of your steel from one week to the next. That leaked draft was the starting gun for the exodus. Next, look at the diplomatic notes from a meeting between Mark Carney and German leadership last month. The language here is striking. Carney outlines a North American stability corridor. He explicitly markets Canada not just as a neighbor to the U.S., but as a firewall against U.S. volatility. He highlights Canada's critical mineral strategy, mentioning lithium and cobalt, which are essential for batteries. And he guarantees that Canada will not impose retroactive tariffs on allied nations. Do you see the contrast? Trump is offering threats. Carney is offering a supply chain guarantee. Carney isn't playing the nice guy. He is playing the smart guy. He positioned Canada as the only logical answer. All the resources of North America with none of the political risk of Washington. Finally, look at the market reaction because money doesn't lie. The moment this news broke, the Canadian dollar spiked because foreign capital is flowing into Canada. Investors see a $7 billion project and they see growth. Now look at the U.S. auto sector. Ford and GM took a hit. Why? Because the market realizes that if VW is leaving, the part suppliers might follow. If the part suppliers move to Canada to be near the new VW Gigafactory, then Ford and GM in Michigan have to pay more to ship those parts back down south. By scaring away VW, Trump didn't just lose one factory, he damaged the ecosystem. He made it more expensive to build cars in Detroit because the gravity of the industry just shifted to Ontario. Donald Trump has operated on one core belief his entire life. If you squeeze people hard enough, they break. But running the global economy isn't like bullying a contractor. Trump is losing control because he doesn't understand that the world has options. When he threatens a 25% tariff, he assumes VW has nowhere else to go. But Canada is right there. Canada offers duty-free access to the U.S. market under the USMCA, a treaty Trump himself signed. He built the back door that Carney is now walking through. Trump is trapped in a loop of his own making. First, he threatens a tariff to look strong. Then, business gets scared of the cost. Next, business looks for a loophole. Mark Carney presents Canada as the loophole. The business moves. Finally, Trump gets angrier and threatens more tariffs. It is a death spiral. So what does this mean for you? If you're watching this from the U.S., you need to be worried. This VW deal is the canary in the coal mine. If Volkswagen, a massive, slow-moving German giant, is nimble enough to dodge Trump, everyone else is too. We are looking at the potential hollowing out of the American industrial revival. When companies leave, the tax base leaves. When the tax base leaves, schools crumble, roads don't get fixed, and your property taxes go up to cover the difference. It means that the next time you go to buy a car, it might be more expensive because it has to be imported from Canada. And if Trump does slap a tariff on it, you pay that tax, not Volkswagen. That's the dirty secret of tariffs. Companies don't pay them. You do. I want you to look at one specific moment from the press conference in St. Thomas today. The CEO of Volkswagen, Oliver Blume, was standing at the podium. Behind him, the Canadian flag and the German flag were crossed. A reporter asked him if the political climate in the U.S. was a factor in this decision. Usually CEOs dodge this. Blume didn't dodge. He paused, he adjusted the microphone, and he said 5 words that should terrify the Republican Party. He said capital goes where it is welcome. He didn't mention Trump's name. He didn't have to. The silence after that sentence was louder than any rally speech. Capital goes where it is welcome. And right now, thanks to Donald Trump, capital does not feel welcome in America. It feels hunted. And Mark Carney, he was standing right next to Blume. He didn't smile. He just nodded. That nod said everything. It said, we built a shelter and they came. So where do we go from here? This is the dangerous part. There are 3 main scenarios we need to watch out for. First is the tantrum tariff. Trump likely wakes up tomorrow and announces a punishment tax on Canadian auto parts. This triggers a trade war. The second possibility is the border shutdown. Trump might order enhanced inspections at the border to slow down Canadian goods. This hurts Canada, yes, but it cripples the U.S. auto industry within days. U.S. factories run on just-in-time delivery. If a part is stuck at the border for 48 hours, the line in Detroit stops. The third scenario is the domino effect. This is the most likely long-term outcome. Other nations see Canada as the safe zone. We see a rush of investment into Ontario and Quebec. The U.S. enters a period of isolationist stagnation while Canada enters a golden age of industrialization. Volkswagen leaving the U.S. for Canada isn't just a business story. It's a verdict. It's a verdict on two different visions of the future. One vision is angry, reactive, and obsessed with the past. It builds walls and burns bridges. The other vision is cool, strategic, and focused on the future. It builds factories and signs treaties. Donald Trump tried to make America fearsome. Instead, he made it unreliable. Mark Carney tried to make Canada indispensable, and today, with $7 billion of German money hitting his bank account, it looks like he succeeded. The factory in Tennessee will remain a patch of dirt. The factory in Ontario will build the cars of tomorrow. And the American people are left asking how much more this version of America First is going to cost them. I want to hear from you. Is Mark Carney a genius for stealing this deal, or is he poking the bear? Can Canada actually survive if Trump decides to go nuclear on the border? And if you're American, how does it feel to watch the jobs promised to you go north because of your president's ego? Let me know in the comments. I read them all. This channel is tracking the U.S.-Canada rupture every single day. The mainstream media is asleep at the wheel on this. We are not. Click subscribe, hit the bell. You need to know what happens next, because I promise you Trump's response is coming and it won't be quiet. Stay watching.